Today's First Alert afternoon weather update is brought to you by Lockhart Roofing.
Happy Friday, everyone. Meteorologist Stone Shaver here live for the First Alert weather live stream. We take a look outside across the region and we start off today's stream looking at downtown Flint, where you have lots of sunshine across the skies. Really, the image we'll be seeing across much, if not all of the state for the day. We will have some popcorn clouds later into the afternoon, but for the most part, should be a nice sunny day. For the rest of the stream, we are going to be looking more at that sunshine. We're going to be looking at record temperatures as we get into the weekend and maybe a rain chance as we get into next week. Obviously, much needed rain as we've continued to see increasing drought across the state here with our latest drought updates. I'll also have a look at that here in just a little bit. But as always, I do like to look around the state at some other regions, and we're going to look out to the west. This is Grand Rapids. They're having a nice sunny day, just maybe some light clouds off in the distance, but otherwise a nice day there. And then I always like to look outside of the state. Let's look out farther west. This is Arizona out towards Phoenix this afternoon, and they're also having a nice sunny day, probably a little bit warmer there in Phoenix, but we're having an above average day across much of the state, if not all of the state. That continues through the rest of the day, into our weekend, even into Monday and possibly Tuesday before we start to see a setup back towards sort of more fall-like temperatures. Now, Sky Tracker right now doesn't have much to show us. We are seeing clear skies, just some light clouds here or there. And again, we will have those popcorn clouds try to develop later this afternoon, but sun should continue to dominate the sky as we get through the rest of our Friday and into our weekend. In terms of temperatures, we have gotten back up into those 80s for most of the area. There are some 70s again towards our shoreline cities, 71 in Bay City, 74 in Caseville. We get out to the east towards eastern Huron and Sanilac counties. You're looking at 68 in Port Hope, 72 in Harbor Beach, and 67 in Port Sanilac. So definitely a little cooler there with that water right on top. But as we move more to the west, you do start to see more of those 80s. We have areas like Clare at 86, Gladwin 85, Standish also at 85, and Owasso at 86, leading the way here during this afternoon. In terms of dew points, nothing extreme, but definitely getting up there, mid to upper 50s. Still should be cool enough on our dew points that you're not going to feel it, but some areas out towards the lake, the bay and the shorelines into the lower 60s. Definitely enough moisture there. You could be feeling it as you're getting out and about. In terms of winds, they've stayed calm over the last couple of days and will continue to stay calm through the rest of our afternoon. That may not be much of the case by the end of the weekend. Again, I'll have updates on that here in just a little bit. But winds right now are mostly out of the south-southwest, right around 5 to 10 miles per hour. You may get a wind gust up to 10 to 15 miles per hour, but again, for the most part, should see relatively calm winds through the rest of the day. And speaking of the rest of the day, our planner does show partly cloudy skies may start to form as we get closer to sunset. Again, we just had those popcorn clouds, but for the most part, you'll see sun. We get through the night, temperatures staying in the 70s through about 9 p.m. and then the 60s as we get through midnight into 1 a.m. before dropping into the 50s as we get through tonight into tomorrow morning. So definitely a warmer night than what we had earlier in the week, and definitely a warmer night than what we will see next week. I'll have our sort of low temperature outlook here as we get into next week in here in just a little bit. But Weekend Planner did want to highlight this as we do have a good weekend. So if you don't have any plans, maybe you want to be outdoors for Saturday and Sunday. Saturday shows mostly sunny skies, temperatures up into the 80s as we get into the early afternoon, the upper 70s by noon, and then by sunset we'll drop back into the 70s, but a dry day. You also see a southwest wind right around 5 to 10 miles per hour. As we get into Sunday, looks to be another day with sunny to mostly sunny skies, temperatures into the 70s by noon, and then the lower 80s by the early afternoon through about 4 p.m. The one thing for Sunday is, again, winds are going to start to pick up. We just start to get the influence of a high pressure system to our south and a low pressure system to the north. I think that does increase our winds as we get through Sunday, mostly late afternoon. That'll be a southwest wind at 10 to 15, gust up to 25. So I don't think it's going to be extreme wind, nothing that's going to go ruin your day, but enough you'll notice some breeze as you're getting out and about for your Sunday afternoon and Sunday evening. But with temperatures up into the mid to upper 80s on Saturday, we're going to be pretty close to reaching our records for the day. So here are your records that we see in a few of the cities across the region. Starting off in Saginaw, our record for Saturday is 87. That was set back in 1967, and it looks like we could tie that. Again, we could get above that by a few degrees. It's going to be something we'll keep an eye on, especially for anyone that likes chasing those weather records for this time of year. In Flint, the record is 88. That was set back in 1951. And the forecast high for Flint is, again, right at 87. So it's going to be very close. Wouldn't surprise me if we can get a few more degrees in the afternoon if you do end up getting past that record point. And then Houghton Lake, another area, record is 87 for Saturday. That was set back in 1922, so a long time since we've beaten that record in Houghton Lake. Going to be very close. Again, a degree or two off or a degree or two above. It's going to be right at that point where we could see some records broken across the state for our Saturday. I think Sunday falls a little bit short. I'll have to go look at some of those records, though. There could be some areas that you do end up being pretty close to your records for Sunday as well. So we are going to take a quick break right now. Once I come back, we're going to have some of those Friday Night Lights forecast. Plus, we're going to be looking at some of the college games that we have going on across the region. And then a little bit later beyond that, we are going to look at the drought monitor. We're going to look at some maybe rain chances as we head into Monday and Tuesday. So make sure you stay right here. I'll be right back with more updates from across the region. Well, welcome back, everyone. Meteorologist Stone Schaefer here again, starting off this sort of second part of our stream, looking at some of our Friday night lights. We're going to start off with the game of the week as Ithaca heads into Saginaw Valley Lutheran. Two undefeated teams looking to continue their winning ways, and you look to have a pretty nice game. Temperatures will be in the 70s at kickoff, maybe the lower 80s. If we can hold on to our temperatures a little bit longer, you could definitely see the 80s for kickoff, staying in the 70s through a majority, if not all of our game tonight. Looks to be a very nice day to watch two teams, again, continuing to try to win. Obviously, Ithaca is on a very long regular season winning streak. They've really just kept winning in the regular season over the last couple of years. Valley Lutheran hoping they can beat that streak and get to 6-0 as we get through the last couple of weeks of the regular season for Michigan high school football as we get closer and closer to playoffs here over the next couple of weeks. Another game I wanted to highlight, that is Bay City Central also getting into town here in Saginaw, facing Saginaw United. Obviously a big game for them. Both teams looking to try to get back into that winning column, get their season going here towards the end of the year, and a good nice weather for that game there. Mostly clear skies, temperatures in the 70s, upper 70s to start the game at kickoff, and then staying in the 70s for a majority, if not all of the game. And I think one nice thing about tonight's games, we've been dealing with some stronger winds on Fridays a few of the last couple of weeks. You're not going to have that tonight. It's going to be a southwest wind at 5 to 10 miles per hour, so kickers won't have to battle those stronger winds. Another game that we have going on for tonight is Lapeer versus Grand Blanc. Obviously, Grand Blanc going to try to continue to get into that winning column. They'll be 6-0 if they can get that win. Lapeer, though, trying to get back to 500 if they can get the win tonight. Maybe a little cooler at kickoff. Temperatures in the upper 70s. Should have, though, mostly clear skies. And then by the end of the game, lower 70s, upper 60s. So another nice game there. Again, a southwest wind, 5 to 10. Shouldn't have to deal with any really strong winds through the games tonight. Maybe just a light breeze at times. Another game that we have, Ogama Heights traveling to play Bullet Creek. Both teams obviously above 500. Ogama Heights at 4-1, hoping to obviously continue their winning ways. Bullet Creek hoping to get into a similar record as other teams in the area. And again, looks to be a nice game. Mostly clear skies. Temperatures in the 70s for a majority of your game there. And then you'll have a southwest wind at 5 to 10 miles per hour. So pretty much a majority of the games that we have going on for our Friday, very similar forecast, very nice conditions. Won't need those jackets quite yet. I know that's coming. We obviously get to those last couple weeks of the regular season, and we hope to avoid snow. So far, we are avoiding that trend. Now, I did want to highlight some of the local college games that we have going on this weekend. The first college game I wanted to highlight, that is Saginaw Valley State playing Northern for homecoming here at Saginaw Valley State, and a very nice day. Kickoff at 2 p.m. You'll be looking at temperatures in the mid-80s, a southwest wind at 5 to 15, and sunny skies, just maybe some light cloud cover as we get through the afternoon for Saginaw Valley State's homecoming. Another game in the region or in the state that you can maybe go watch is that's going to be Michigan, and actually this is supposed to be Wisconsin. We'll get that updated real quick for you. But the University of Michigan facing Wisconsin this weekend at home. A big game, obviously. Michigan hoping to continue getting in that win streak, continue to climb up the ranks so they can maybe get into that sort of talk of maybe the college football playoffs. Obviously, Wisconsin hasn't had the greatest start to the season, hoping to get back into that winning column versus Michigan. Kickoff at noon there on Saturday. Temperatures will be into the 80s as we get to kickoff, and then the mid-80s by the end of the game. A southwest wind at 5 to 15 with mostly sunny skies. Some of the other area games, so the other colleges, Northwood there down in Ohio playing a game there. Obviously Central Michigan also in Ohio playing Akron this weekend. Western Michigan, they are at home playing UMass for their first MAC home opener. And then Eastern Michigan, they are traveling to New York to play Buffalo in another game as they try to get a win after losing to Central last week. But some big games this weekend. Michigan State obviously also traveling this weekend. They're off to Nebraska. But big games this weekend for both high school and college. You're going to want to tune into those or travel to some of those games as we have very nice weather across the region. But I am going to quickly take another break. Stick around because I'm going to be looking at our drought monitor showing you how that updated yesterday. We're going to be looking at long-term low temperatures, long-term high temperatures, and again, maybe a rain chance as we head into Monday and Tuesday. So you don't want to go anywhere. Make sure you stay right here. Well, welcome back, everyone. Meteorologist Stone Schaefer here. We're going to start off looking at our drought monitor that got updated yesterday morning. If you're just tuning in, drought monitor does get updated every Thursday, and it hasn't been good for our updates here over the last couple of really weeks and maybe even months, as we've just continued to lack rain chances across the state really for the last month and a half. We did have a little bit of rain there sort of middle September, but really just long stretches of very little, if no rain at all, across the state. So this is the drought monitor from yesterday. The biggest update was that severe drought has now stretched all across the state from Huron County all the way out to Lake Michigan. This is including Bay City, Saginaw, Midland, Mount Pleasant, that 127 corridor, all the way out to Big Rapids and just out to Lake Michigan. So we really need this rain to want to try to form. Do we have rain in the picture long term? Monday and Tuesday, we really just need a very long-term consistent rain, and that doesn't look to be that much in the forecast, at least for the next week and a half. So this will continue to be something we'll have to monitor over the next couple of weeks as that drought continues to build itself. I know it's just been super dry. In terms of other updates, we continue to see that moderate drought expand to the north. In the south, it's going to be areas of eastern Huron and Sanilac counties, and then southern Saginaw and Shiawassee counties that have continued to stay in the abnormally dry. We'll see how that updates here over the next couple of weeks. I'd imagine, though, without any really long-term consistent rain in our forecast, those areas will also continue to get worse. I do want to remind people at this point last year we were very similar in some areas with the drought. So, and we've obviously had worse drought in the state. I think back to 2007 is one of those years that's had also extreme drought. So not what we want to see. Hopefully we can get some rain before we get some snow, and then that will help sort of fight off this drought as we get here through the rest of the fall and into our winter time. So back to today, I did want to quickly highlight today's pollen levels. We are low for tree, mold, ragweed, and grass. Dust and dander, though, has continued to hold a pretty high rating. So if you're someone that is sensitive to that, don't be surprised if you're going outdoors if you do feel that. I know I've talked to some people, they're definitely feeling those allergies, trying to creep in, even myself over the last couple of days, just trying to fight off some of those allergies that are trying to sort of get a little bit worse as we get through these next couple of weeks. Now, as we get through the rest of the day into tonight, our lows, they are sitting on the warmer side. This is above average all across the state. You're looking at mid 50s to the upper 50s and even a few lower 60s sort of splashed in there, especially Bay City, Port Hope, our shoreline cities. I think those areas could be close to staying in the 60s through tonight. But again, quite a bit of a warm-up compared to what we had earlier in the week. If you remember correctly, mid last week, we did have, or mid this week, I mean, we did have temperatures mid 30s. So it was very sort of a wake-up call, what's going to come here over the next couple of weeks. Because as we take a look at our low temperature outlook, what we do see here is temperatures in the 50s and 60s through this weekend, but that system that moves in Monday into Tuesday is going to bring in some colder air and is going to give us a stretch of more fall-like temperatures during the day and during the night. So we can see next Wednesday and Thursday nights temperatures back into the upper 30s. So that's almost a 30-degree temperature swing for Wednesday into Thursday night. And I did want to highlight there could be some frost chances through mid next week. I know it's upper 30s right now. There's definitely going to be the possibility of seeing some mid to lower 30s as we get through next week. So that's just something we'll have to highlight through the weekend into the start of next week, especially if you're someone that's still holding on to some of those plants. I know a lot of those plants are being moved indoors or have moved past their life cycle. But obviously, if you still have a few plants, that's something you want to keep an eye on for next week with temperatures dropping back into the 30s. Now, as we get into Saturday, again, we're highlighting very high highs. Our high temperatures, mid to upper 80s. You're looking at Mount Pleasant, 87, Saginaw, 87, Flint, 86. So very close to beating our records for this time of year. Almost 20, if not 20 degrees above average for this time of year. So definitely on the warmer side compared to what we should be at. I think many people are going to enjoy this weekend. Obviously, if you're someone that enjoys the fall-like weather, though, you're not going to like this. You're really hoping we get that fall-like weather. And again, we will into next week. we'll see how long it lasts, because there has been some signals we're not done with the 80s. I think it's a small chance right now beyond this weekend to see 80s. But there has been some signals we could hit another weekend of 80s coming up past this weekend. So obviously your TV5 First Alert weather team will always keep you up to date with that. Looking at wind gusts, not much today. That carries over into Saturday. By Sunday, though, it does look like winds will start to pick up. Even Saturday afternoon. This is 4 p.m. Saturday. Winds mostly out of the south-southwest at 15 to maybe 20 miles per hour, shifting to the eastern portion of the state through Saturday night. Then Sunday, by the afternoon, that's where we start to see some higher pressure to the south. We may start to see the signs of that low pressure to the north, and I think that's going to start to increase our winds just a little bit more. I anticipate we actually could have some breezy days through the end of the day, Sunday into Monday and possibly Tuesday. So definitely looking forward to some stronger winds for the end of the weekend into the start of next week. Now for our highs for Sunday, we're still not seeing really the impact of that cold air quite yet. That will be late Monday. Highs for Sunday, still in the mid-80s, still a day above average by almost 20 degrees. We'll see how records play out. I think we end up falling short of our records for Sunday, but it won't be that far, only by a few degrees as we get through Sunday. And then Monday again holds on to 80s before we get that cold air with that low pressure system and a cold front. That's where we start to see a rain chance. We look at our hour by hour, there actually may be a chance of rain early tomorrow morning if you're heading north. It's going to be north of mid-Michigan up towards the Mackinac Bridge area. You might get a light rain tomorrow morning. I don't think it's going to be much if you do see anything. But you may have to turn on the windshield wipers if you're heading north for Saturday morning. By about 10 a.m., most of that rain should be moved out, and we're going to be dry and sunny through the majority of Saturday into Sunday. It's into Monday that we start to see that low pressure system to the north and a cold front set itself up across the state. That's going to bring a rain chance probably late Monday night into Tuesday. Lengthwise, it does look like it should be moved out by about mid-afternoon to late afternoon Tuesday. There's still some debate, though, on timing of this low pressure system and cold front. Some weather models have pushed it just a little bit earlier in the sort of start of the week. We're talking about Monday night. Some models have been pushing it through about midday Tuesday. So that really will determine when we see our first chance of rain to when it moves out. But I do think we are going to have our best chance of rain for late Monday into Tuesday, and possibly into Tuesday night before that moves out. And then high pressure actually looks to build itself back in by Wednesday, and that gives us more sunny days and dry days into the end of next week and possibly into next weekend. So obviously that low pressure system is going to bring us some rain. We'll again see this on our 7-day forecast. 80s through our weekend. On Monday, lower 80s with that rain chance starting to move itself in late into the afternoon/evening, overnight into Tuesday morning. Again, there's still some questions about timing for that rain chance, but it is there, and it brings in some colder air. We actually see a drop into the lower 60s for Wednesday and Thursday. So if you're someone that likes fall-like weather, you had those days next week that sort of preview what we should be like this time of year, and maybe what we're going to end up seeing through the end of October and obviously as we get to the start of November. But still a long ways out for that, at least here on the 7-day forecast. Temperatures from the 80s to the 60s, and then back with some rain chances late Monday into Tuesday. But we're going to end it here. I want to thank everyone for joining me here today. As always, you can check us out on YouTube and Facebook at WNEM TV5 News. You can head over to our website to catch all of our streams at WNEM.com/livestream. You can also catch more on our news, sports, and weather over on WNEM.com. If you want to download the First Alert Weather app, make sure you scan this QR code right below us. We'll keep that up to date all the time. You can catch updates from us throughout the day. You can catch videos, some extra forecasts for you, including bus stop forecasts, smoke forecasts, updates on the drought monitor. But again, I want to thank everyone for joining me here today. Hopefully everyone has a wonderful rest of your Friday and can enjoy the nice weather that we have heading for our weekend.
Thank you for joining us. Today's stream has been brought to you by Lockhart Roofing.